You've spoken of removing the mask and becoming more vulnerable publicly so that others may hear your story and begin to heal themselves as you have. What was the turning point for you and your journey? Was there a moment while at your lowest you decided to come back from the edge?
There's actually two moments for me. One was when I was asked to be a guest on another podcast. It was from actually a singer of a band that I like listening to, Kill Switch Engage, Jesse Leach. And at that time, I was very far from wanting to be forthcoming about anything that was going on in my life. I was very by the books, very structured, would never tell anyone anything about what was going on in my life. So I reluctantly decided to go on and do it. Long story short, it was almost like two interviews. One was with the version of me that gives the routine answers to the routine questions that I'm often asked. And then the second interview was someone else who took over. I even called myself out in the middle of it and said that this is bullshit. It's all a lie. After it was done, I remember telling myself that was stupid. I don't know why I did that, and I shouldn't had, And then little by little, I was getting messages, and people were sending me positive messages. Basically, they were all telling me, that it takes a lot of strength to be able to do that, first of all, and then a lot of people themselves were being very forthcoming about things they were going through. And that was the first time I remember realizing, wow, I didn't know that showing vulnerability or being more open about what I was going through and showing the Clark Kent behind the Superman is really what people resonate more with. I was always somehow hardwired to believe that, no, you gotta be perfect, you gotta show strength. There's no weaknesses, no one should know anything about you, have anonymity. As I was getting more and more messages, I realized I was onto something. That the more I actually told my story, the more people were relating to it and connecting with me on a different level. The other turning point for me was, I was already forthcoming with what I was going through with abuse, alcohol abuse, and dealing with that. During that time, I had received a gift bag. It was like a little goodie bag that I got from it was a friend of mine who works with someone, their daughter. I might have been under the influence even at the time, but I just chucked it away somewhere. And then one day I remember I was in it. I was in a not so good of a mood, and I just emptied the bag. I was just curious. And then out fell all these little trinkets, little stickers, cute little games. And the one thing that fell out was an hourglass. It was like one of those toy hourglasses that you use in games. And I remember thinking to myself the concept of time, and I was just fucking around with the hourglass, flipping it, just realizing how important every little grain of sand was, and that it all contributes to time, but yet it's fast. Our time in here is so quick. And I just remember thinking to myself, man, I keep flipping this hourglass, being the same person that I am today. I'm gonna, God forbid, die tomorrow, and that'll be the end of my story. And I remember how that didn't sit well with me. It bothered me, and I felt like I was betraying the pact that I had made with myself to try to be a better person and a better man. So those two things were the turning points for me, I remember.